Hey Dollhouse people, Whitney LaBrie here, and this week we're going country. I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone and RIP. Am I right? I've really been enjoying the scenery and the backgrounds and the cabins. I have a lot in store for this room box. We're gonna start with converting some sofas into some leather sofas. It's probably gonna take a few episodes, so if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so you do not miss any more episodes. It means so much to me, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the show. All right, so here is the room box that I found out in the garage, and so I thought we'd take a look at it. I'm really not going to be messing with it too much today at all, actually, but you can see that the wallpaper is pretty bad. I don't know what this was initially, maybe like a schoolroom or an office. We have a lot of work ahead, but today we're not gonna work on the room at all. I'm gonna work on the sofa, this sofa set here. So this set was actually a really cool gift from my brother and sister-in-law for Christmas, and they got this really cool set and it's all white. And so what I really want to do is I want to turn it into a leather set. So many years ago I saw on YouTube this video where this lady was painting regular size furniture and she was turning it into faux leather. So I thought that I would try the technique myself on this little set. And I'm not going to be using the same products that she did, because when I looked it up, it was kind of expensive. Actually, it was really expensive when you're talking about miniatures, because by the time you bought all this stuff, you might as well just buy a miniature leather sofa online or something. So I'm just going to be using acrylic paint, and I just modified it to for the size. I'm going to add a lot of water to this mixture, and a lot of water is really key to doing this correctly. So once I get this color that I like, I am just going to start really lathering on the paint and coating it pretty good. It's a pretty messy process. You're really going to get a lot of drips and everything. I just put a piece of wax paper down so that once I'm all done with my big messes, I can kind of clean up pretty easily. And then once I'm done, this is what it looks like. I actually just set this out to dry out in the sun, and the paint kind of absorbs into the fabric, and so it really lightens it. And keep that in mind when you're choosing your colors. Once everything was dried, I actually did a couple coats of it. I did 3 total coats in all. And one thing to also consider is that I'm painting on plain sofas, but you could actually do this on any patterned sofa that you have. It just may take a few more coats than what I needed for what I'm doing. Okay, and then the next step, once it's all dry, is I'm gonna take my brown paint, and then I bought this glazing medium, and I'm going to mix them together, not quite equal parts, but close. And then once that's mixed, I'm going to go ahead and grab some tissue paper, and I'm going to crumple it up really nice and tight. And again, this is not my process. This is another lady's process. I'll put the link in the description below if you want to check her out. She does full-size, regular-size furniture, and I'm kind of changing it up a little bit here for what I'm doing. But anyway, now I'm going to take that brown glaze that I have created. I'm going to put a pretty good coat on I'm going to go piece by piece, basically. And then I'm going to uncrumple that tissue ball, and it's going to give me this very natural leather look. So I'm just going to pat that down, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of water and a paintbrush, and I'm going to just paint over. I'm just going to wet down that tissue paper. And then I'm going to slowly peel it off and it's super anticlimactic because the lighting, it's really hard to see the variations in the paint color. But I'm going to keep doing that process in small areas, just a little bit at a time, and I have to really use a new piece of tissue between every coat. I can't keep using the same one, otherwise the variations that you kind of want when you do leather will not happen. So this is as I'm going along here, you can see the variations in the coloring. This is going to give me more of a real natural leather look. And you can go back over if you want in different areas and kind of touch up where you don't like maybe the pattern that it's giving you. And then you can also tell that it's becoming like a little bit tougher and it has a sheen on it like you would see in a leather couch or chair. And I'm going to let that pretty much dry, not completely though. And then once it's getting closer to being dry where I can kind of touch it and the paint won't really come off onto my hands, I'm going to grab my brown paint again and I'm going to grab my black paint. In this case, I'm going to do brown and then just a tad bit of paint. See, the only amount of paint I'm really using is what's on my brush. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of that brown, and I'm just trying to create, I don't want it like a true black. I need it to be like a brownish black. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to age that sofa. I'm brushing off a little onto the napkin because I really don't want globs of the paint. I just really need a nice dry brush on this. And I'm really going to start adding the low lights, and I'm going really into the crevices, around any stitching that I see, around the back of the pillows. And then I'm also going to really take into account as where somebody would sit on a leather sofa. So the armrest, the headrest, maybe down where the legs would be, those areas over time get a little darker because of the oils in our skin rubs off onto that natural leather and it begins to darken it over time. And so I'm going to add a little bit more darker black in those areas. And I'm going to continue to do that on the sofa and then on both chairs. And anywhere that there's a little much, maybe I put a little much on there, a little too much paint, I can just brush it away very quickly with my hand or napkin. Okay, and then once that's all done, I'm just going to set that aside to dry. But first I am going to take my stain pen here, and I'm just going to stain all the little wooden feet that are on the sofa and chairs. Okay, now this set did come with 4 pillows. So I thought instead of making them fully leather, I would make them more of a natural cowhide feel, like this here that you're kind of seeing in the photo. So I'm going to use several paints for this. I'm going to use my brown, I'm going to use a color called buttermilk, black, and then another color called chestnut. And then I'm going to mix each one, I just need a little bit, with my glazing medium to kind of give it a little bit of a sheen. And the first thing I'm going to do is paint on my buttermilk. Now, I'm not going to fully cover this entire pillow with buttermilk. I do want to actually leave a little bit of white. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring in the other colors. Okay, and once the buttermilk color is almost dry, it doesn't need to be fully dry. It doesn't bother me for the paints to kind of mix. In fact, you kind of maybe want that a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take my brown, and I'm just going to start adding the brown. And then I'm using the brush in these little sweep ups because I'm trying to give the impression that it's fur. So I'm just sweeping up, kind of whooshing up, giving these little feathering at the ends of each little stroke that I make. And I'm going to do that in very random patterns, the way that you would see on a real cowhide. And then once the brown is on, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do similar strokes with the chestnut. I'm just gonna add in a little bit of color, just add in, a little bit more of that color here and there. Not fully covering all the brown, we're just gonna be adding layers. Okay, now I am going to add the black. And I'm really gonna add just a little bit of black, not too much. I'm gonna throw my brush around a little bit and create extra messes for me. And really, in my situation with this pillow, I'm just adding the black as more of a little bit of an accent to give the pillow some depth. But I've seen just some really pretty black and white and cream cowhide pillows that were really pretty. And I should have done one like that, but I didn't. Okay, and now that that's all completed, the next thing I'm gonna do, I am actually gonna go back and I want to add a little bit of the buttercream again. And this time I'm just gonna randomly add it here and there. I'm adding a little bit more depth to those pillows. All right, and then once they're all dry, that's kind of what they look like. And I could go back over them if I want to and change them out. And then here they are on the sofas. All right, and so I really like the way this looks. I love the leather. I definitely would do this process again with other pieces. I think it turned out really great. This is the first time I've done this technique, and so now I know what to look for and for future projects. To be honest, it was really easy. I think the hardest part was going back over with the tissue paper, because it was really kind of a little bit of a process, and I was worried that when it dried I wouldn't be able to see the variations, but really it worked out really great. Adding the black, I think, really added the depth that it needed, and I just love it. I just love the way this looks. So let's go ahead and check in and see what Tiny Whitney thinks. Looks like she's saying yes. Okay. Hi. She's giving us a thumbs up. I think that's good news. Awesome. So you let me know what you think too. Is it a yee-haw or a yee-nah? Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I'd like to hear from you, so don't forget to leave a comment. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that. You have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.